Now you can search for new episodes by subject matter at londonreal.tv. Brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform we use at London Real.
Because we wanted to talk about Vice.
Yeah, let's talk about Vice. Let's talk about Vice.
Right. There's, I think...
you were recently down in Cannes, and I heard Vice made a pretty impressive...
Vice were all over the place.
You were at MIPIM, which is a big media conference down in Cannes,
media,
right?
An enormous media market.
Where everyone comes and shows their...
What was really interesting there was that YouTube made a keynote. Right. Yeah, and the keynote started with all of the stuff that you'd kind of expect to see from a YouTube keynote. There was a kind of brief video run through of everything that started with, like, what's that Scottish woman who sang in the X Factor, and there's Simon Cowell, and there's this kind of stuff, yeah?
Right.
And then about 3-4 minutes into what is like a 25-minute set-piece MIPCOM keynote in front of 1,000 people, they go into news. YouTube goes into news and says, we want to talk about news. And they bring out, what's his name from Vice?
Shane
Smith.
Yeah, Shane Smith from Vice.
And Shane Smith comes out and sits down, and they have a powwow for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes about how awesome Vice is.
Okay.
And
why'd they bring him out? Why didn't they bring you out?
Why didn't they bring us? Well, because he's got the traction, baby.
But you guys have more views than Vice.
Yeah, we're
close.
We're close, but
okay.
I think as far as reputation is concerned right now, I think it's fair to say Vice are really,
because they're hot. They got the momentum.
Oh Jesus, they're hot as hell, aren't they?
Okay. Well,
and they had a guy kidnapped. They got a guy kidnapped in Ukraine, for God's sake. I mean, that's just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Doesn't get much better than that.
Fucking hell.
Okay, so Shane comes out on stage, and that was noteworthy because what? YouTube brought him out?
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just like, for me, I still don't totally understand why YouTube are pursuing news so determinedly when there's all that entertainment, cats, gifts, low-hanging fruit knocking around.
Right,
yeah?
Right. Web series, all these other things.
Because the guys are really, really, like, you know Google people, and I know Google people, and the guys are really, really freaking serious about it, and they really take us very seriously, and they really want to work with us. And I'm still kind of, looking at it going,
You think it's a small piece of the pie, and they think it's a big one.
I think it's a small, like, financially it's got to be a small piece of the pie, man. I mean, if you compare sport and music and
right.
to the kind of numbers that news brings in, well then we're tiny little babies.
Is it a factor of 10 or 100?
I think it's like in my opinion, probably, like, depending on the platform, Twitter factor perhaps 10 for sure.
Okay.
Maybe
it's a demographic. Is it the people that are paying the bills that are watching the news, and the kids are watching the videos?
Probably, probably. But the guys,
still.
our YouTube demographic actually starts around 35. It really kicks in around 35. We've got 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube.
Okay.
And our demographic kicks in by 35, which is very late. And the YouTube guys are telling us, man, you're way over market.
Oh, which
get
is
younger,
good. Get younger.
Yeah.
Ours is quite old too. I'm always surprised. Mine's around there as well.
You see,
but
I was quite happy with it. I was like, hey, dude, I'm all right with that.
It's a good demo for advertisers, actually.
Exactly. Brands like it.
But for the up and coming, we get back to Vice.
So let's go back to it.
So Shane comes on.
So Shane comes on and basically talks about, he's wearing his shorts and he's just hanging out and being really relaxed.
As your Vice, you have to wear shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
If he showed up in a suit, you'd be worried. Right?
And you would actually. So Shane's just he's just in a really comfortable position right now. The market is loving what they're doing. I think they. Simon Ostrovsky, who's the journalist who was kidnapped in Ukraine, was doing great work.
Okay.
And he was coming up with the kind of content that nobody else was coming up with.
Right. I think I saw some of his articles in Ukraine. Yeah. He was in Kiev Square and did.
He was definitely in Maidan. Yeah.
Okay.
Simon used to work on the Moscow Times with a bunch of guys who now work in the RT newsroom, for example. I mean, it's a small. If you look at the expat hack pack, as they call them in Moscow, I mean, it's a reasonably small pool.
Okay.
So a lot of the guys know each other face to face. We're friends going back years. There's much more camaraderie behind the scenes than you'll see on social media.
Okay.
In that sense, So anyhow, yeah. So I think. So anyhow, everyone's on about Vice, and we're loving Vice, and Vice is amazing. Tim Pool's a great guy as well. Tim does Timcast, the guy with the Google Glass. stuff. Wears the beanie.
Okay, on Vice.
On Vice,
okay.
yeah. Tim was the first guy to start live streaming Occupy Wall Street back in the day. He just turned up with a backpack and a battery full of batteries.
Okay.
And started streaming off his iPhone.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Tim's a great guy. So anyhow, look, we're looking at the way Vice are picking up these people, going, oh my God, that's they're really doing well. And then they have them working with a cameraman, so it's a really straight documentary style. And frankly, and this is why I think that I've got great respect for what they do, is that one of the big messages that our people on YouTube tell us, and one of the things that we built success on, was that our people like it raw. They don't want to be told what to think.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Vice touch is very much along those lines.
Right.
They'll describe what they think is immediately happening, but they will not try and over-prescribe an interpretation.
Unless they put an appropriate music track and an appropriate camera shot.
Yeah.
Okay, but they won't verbally tell you.
No, they won't verbally. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's lots of other ways of couching it up and of telling a particular story.
Right.
And it all depends on from which side of the barricade are you walking towards the barricade.
Right. Right. Little things like that.
Wow, huge things.
And is that generation, is that the millennial telling us that they don't want to be told what to do, what to think, told how to think? Is that ultimately what we're learning?
I think there's in my opinion, I think there's an element of that. Yeah, I think it's that's why I think it's punky.
Right.
I think it's good,
much like the punk music generation.
Yeah,
right.
I'm going to do it myself. Thanks very much.
And was Shane there to talk specifically about news? And did that kind of blow you away, or were they to talk about all the Vice content?
That was the thing. He spoke almost exclusively about news. Didn't talk about all the other great brands as part of the stable or anything like that, or how he manages to fund Vice, with the monies that are coming in there. No, it was all about news.
So that was kind of fascinating.
And that's really interesting. Yeah, really, really interesting why that's happening. And that it took me a while to even figure it out. I was just sitting there. I enjoyed it. It was a really enjoyable presentation. And it was like an hour afterwards, I was like, hang on a second, but YouTube just did a keynote at MIP, which is entertainment.
Right.
On news.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of strange.
I think...
We take real pride in our websites and who we work with on the show, and those are the guys at Squarespace. They've been running our website londonreal.tv and our siliconreal.com for over a year now, and they are an all-in-one platform to make it fast and easy to build your own professional website or portfolio. These guys have the tech down. It's drag and drop. It is easy. I used to run a WordPress site, and I used to have to FTP audio files and all this nonsense. And now when you see these blogs that I write every week where I talk to you about my personal impressions of the guests, I literally just bust those out, drop the picture in, boom, and it's done.